Hey leaders, welcome back to Unlock, Empower, Transform. I'm Che Blackmon, and today we're tackling something that makes me laugh and cry at the same time. Those beautiful company values hanging on your office walls that nobody actually lives by. You know the ones: integrity, innovation, excellence. Meanwhile, your actual culture rewards the exact opposite behaviors. Today, we're moving beyond the poster propaganda and getting into how to make values actually mean something in your organization. Let me paint you a picture I've seen too many times. Leadership team spends thousands on a consultant to help them craft perfect value statements. They print them on everything: mugs, mouse pads, maybe even get them etched in glass in the lobby. 6 months later, those values have about as much impact on daily decisions as the motivational calendar in the break room. Here's the truth bomb: values without aligned actions are just expensive wallpaper. In high value leadership, I talk about how culture isn't what you say, it's what you consistently do, reward, and tolerate. And let me tell you, your employees are watching. They see everything. They know when work-life balance is a value, but emails at midnight get praised. They notice when diversity is proclaimed, but leadership looks like a 1950s country club. The disconnect isn't just disappointing, it's destructive. It breeds cynicism, disengagement, and that special kind of exhaustion that comes from pretending everything's fine when it's clearly not. So, how do we fix this mess? In my book, I introduce what I call the cultural alignment framework. It's not complicated, but it does require something most organizations struggle with: actual consistency. First, you need to audit your reality, not your aspirational reality, your actual messy, sometimes embarrassing reality. What behaviors actually get rewarded in your organization? I'm not talking about what your employee handbook says. I mean, what really happens, who gets promoted, what gets celebrated in meetings, what gets ignored or swept under the rug. I worked with one organization where collaboration was a core value, but their entire bonus structure was based on individual performance metrics. Guess how collaborative that culture was? Right, it was like watching hungry wolves share a chicken bone. The alignment process has three critical components: systems, behaviors, and accountability. Your systems, hiring, promotion, compensation, need to actively reinforce your values. Your leadership behaviors need to model those values, especially when it's inconvenient. And accountability, that means actually addressing it when someone, especially someone senior, violates those values. Now, let's talk about what values driven decision making actually looks like in practice, because it's easy to follow your values when everything's going smoothly. The real test comes when there's pressure, when there's money on the line, when the easy choice contradicts your stated principles. I've seen organizations face these moments of truth. One company I observed had environmental responsibility as a core value. When they had the chance to land a massive contract that would require compromising those environmental standards, they had a choice. The leadership team used what I call the values filter test. They literally asked, if we make this decision, can we still look our employees in the eye and claim this value? They walked away from the contract. Short-term pain? Absolutely. But here's what happened next. Their employees' engagement scores went through the roof. Their talent retention improved. They attracted clients who specifically sought them out because of their authentic commitment to their values. That decision became a story that defined their culture for years. Values-driven decision-making means having the courage to choose long-term cultural integrity over short-term gains. It means being willing to have uncomfortable conversations. It means sometimes being the only voice in the room saying, "Wait, doesn't this contradict what we say we stand for?" In my high value leadership intensive, I use a simple but powerful assessment tool that you can start with today. It's called the Values Reality Check. And here's your quick exercise for this week. Take your organization's stated values. Let's say you have 5 of them. For each value, answer these 3 questions. 1. Name 3 specific decisions made in the last month that demonstrated this value in action. Not intentions, not plans. Actual decisions with real consequences. 2. Identify 3 current practices or policies that might be undermining this value. Be honest. Maybe it's your meeting culture, your email expectations, your performance review process. 3, list 3 observable behaviors that would tell a new employee this value is real, not just rhetoric. If you're struggling to answer any of these, congratulations. You've identified your culture gaps. This isn't about perfection, it's about honest assessment and intentional improvement. Here's the thing that makes this exercise powerful. Do it with your team. The conversations that emerge when people share their different perspectives on these questions, that's where the real work begins. That's where you move from poster values to practiced values. Throughout my career leading HR transformations, I've learned that cultural change doesn't happen through announcements or initiatives. It happens through thousands of small, consistent actions that either reinforce or undermine your stated values. I've seen the magic that happens when values become real, when that team member who always talks about innovation actually gets the resources to experiment and potentially fail. When the person who calls out a values violation isn't labeled a troublemaker, but is thanked for their courage. When leaders admit they made a decision that contradicted a value and publicly commit to doing better. This isn't soft stuff. This is the hard work of building organizations where people don't have to pretend, where they can bring their whole selves, where the values on the wall match the reality in the halls. Look, transforming culture isn't a sprint. It's not even a marathon. It's more like training for a marathon while running the marathon. But every step toward authentic values alignment makes your organization stronger, more resilient, and honestly, a lot less exhausting to work in. If you're ready to dig deeper into this work, I've got something for you. Download my Shield Resilience Strategy Guide. It includes practical tools for navigating the resistance you'll face when you start calling out values misalignment. Because trust me, when you start holding people accountable to stated values, not everyone's going to thank you for it. The link is in the description below. Drop a comment and let me know. What's one value your organization claims that's completely disconnected from reality? Let's have an honest conversation about it. Sometimes naming the elephant in the room is the first step to getting it to leave. And if you're serious about leading this kind of transformation in your organization, check out my book, High Value Leadership, and keep an eye out for enrollment openings soon for my High Value Leadership Intensive course, where we go way beyond theory into actual implementation strategies. Remember, culture isn't built by what you put on posters. It's built by what you do when nobody's watching, what you reward when it matters, and what you refuse to tolerate even when it's profitable. This Thursday, we're diving into the Change Champions Playbook Leading Transformation That Sticks. Because once you identify these values gaps, you need practical strategies to actually close them without losing your mind or your job in the process. Until then, stop admiring those values on your wall and start actually living them. Your culture and your people will thank you for it. I'm Che Blackmon, and this has been Unlock, Empower, Transform. Now go make those values mean something.